It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
New week, new topic for the boys. Players to avoid on this episode of the podcast. I got a little sneak peek of you guys. I'm not gonna lie, because I get to make the graphics. So I can say we don't have a single duplicate.
Wow.
Guys, get
This
some
might-
gold.
Might be the first time in 2 seasons. We usually are good for one, so excited.
But let's start us off here, boys. Baney, why don't you start us off here?
Alrighty, starting off, got a quarterback for you, and that is Tua Tagovailoa. QB 14, ADP 106. Finished off last year as QB 10 with over 4,300 yards passing. However, 89 yards rushing, I believe, roughly under 100 yards rushing on the season. That doesn't help you in fantasy football, guys, at all. 7 weeks with 13 or fewer points last season. And once you get to your fantasy football playoffs, even though the Dolphins have a cake first 12 weeks of the season, then they go on the road in the wintertime to Green Bay, Cleveland, and the New York Jets. No, it's just not good. The wheels fall off this offense once they go outdoors in the wintertime. We've seen it time and time again, and we've talked about it before. Fantasy playoffs, those are the money weeks. That's when these guys are actually really important. Two will probably be close to leading the league in passing yards, but no rushing upside, no fantasy points.
Yeah, lots of weapons there over in Miami. But that rushing, that's key in fantasy. You got to have a quarterback with rushing. Especially like Baney said, tough matchups at the end. Just doesn't do it. I think it was 2 years ago with all his concussions. He just goes to the ground. I mean, smart, but doesn't help us fantasy geeks. So I agree with you, Baney.
Not only that, when Tyreek's on the field as well, his production goes down, it seems, as well. It seems like that offense doesn't know what to do when Tyreek's on that field as well. Big distraction he is, in a good way, whether he's getting double teamed or, so, yeah. Everybody knows how I feel about Tua, so.
Loves him.
But Badge?
So my player to avoid, I'm going PPR format, just so you guys know. So I love this player. I don't want to say I hate the situation. I just really dislike it. I'm going Michael Pittman. I just feel like this offense is going run heavy with Richardson and Taylor. I mean, right now Pittman is wide receiver 16, ADP 33. To me, I think that's too high of a premium for my liking. I'd rather take a guy after him. Here's a list that go after him. Kupp, Waddle, both they weren't healthy last year. Prior year, both over 1,000 yards. We all know what Kupp did. DK Metcalf even goes after him. I think he's going to be great in this pass-happy offense. Devontae Smith is another one that goes after him. Like I said, I love Pittman. Just going too high for my liking, so I'm going to be avoiding him this year.
I don't know. I'm on the fence of this. I want a lot of this second year Shane Steichen ran offense. And maybe that's because Shane Steichen's second year in Philly, the offense absolutely blew up, ran a fast paced tempo, and they scored a lot of points. So I don't know, man. I do agree that ADP is rich when you list off some of those guys that are right there with them. There's going to be a lot of rushing upside, but I don't know, man. I'm going to have a hard time seeing Pittman and not clicking him, but I understand your logic behind it. I really do.
Something, too, I didn't mention also, just real quick before Teak goes. Don't forget, Richardson, I mean, I'm big on him this year. I think he could be a league winner rushing. But don't forget, he lacks experience. He just jumped right into the quarterback job. So that's another reason, too. Like I said, I love Pittman. Nothing against the player, just what's going on in the situation.
How many games did Richardson play last year? 2?
I think it was 4, 3 or 4.
I think it might have been 2.5.
Was it?
I think he left almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
It was the
If he played
2 weeks?
4, if he played 4, it was injured like within the first drive. Because I know there's 2 finishes of QB 5 or better in those 2 weeks.
Well, for the sake of the argument, then, because I'm a big Pittman fan, was last year as well. You guys were singing the same horn here about Pittman. His first 2 weeks last season with Richardson, 24 fantasy points and 14. Averaged 11.5 targets per those games. That's a lot of looks Pittman's way. And that's a wide receiver's dream in fantasy. Your guy's getting those looks and those opportunities. And both of those, he caught 8 of the 11, 8 of the 12. So 97 yards and a TD and 60 on the other. So I don't know. I can't justify some of those guys you mentioned as well, especially wide receiver 2s when he's a wide receiver 1 like Waddle and Devontae Smith. I don't think I'm taking those 2 guys over Pittman. That's just me. Now, Dynasty might be a little bit different.
Cup. I'll take Cup, Waddle, both over him. Love him as a player.
Interesting. Cup is interesting because you don't know. I don't know, man. Him and Puka, yes, I do believe they both can get 1,000 yards receiving. Man, you have any input on that, Banny?
The Puka injury changes that entire landscape of the conversation. If the Puka injury is a real, they say it's week to week, but if this turns into a longevity thing, then Cup is going to start going. I mean, he was going 4th round consistently. We were running mocks last night. He's going in the 3rd consistently. Like I always said, dude, it takes one drunk uncle to take him in the 2nd round. It's a lot of name value. Cooper Kupp, former Triple Crown winner. If the Puka injury is a big deal, Puka's entire college career was hampered with injuries. So it's a shame, but if it's serious, I think the Kupp conversation dumps all of this on its head, and that you're taking Kupp instead of Pittman for sure. I think if he's healthy, rumors at camp were that he looks like he's back to that guy again. So,
but moving on for me, my first guy here. Hey, I know one of us in this lobby is going to be having a good old time ragging on this one. I got Jerry Jeudy. New team, new location, new QB. I don't like it still. Averaged 8 points per game in fantasy last year. Yeah. He had a different QB. I don't think it's going to be anything different in Cleveland as well, especially in that AFC North is a big thing for me. I don't want to compare him to this guy. I really don't, but it's just giving me those same vibes. And it's Kadarius Toney. People built this guy up about his talent, and it just doesn't show on the field. And averaging 8 fantasy points per game last year with, Courtland Sutton's nothing to bat an eye over, but now he has Amari Cooper, maybe Brandon Ayuk, depending on where he gets traded. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think this is a great call. If it's not Amari Cooper, I don't want any piece of this Browns passing offense, and that's Deshaun Watson's fault 100%. Jerry Jeudy last year was the last season that you'll hear me say anything positive about him. I thought that he could string together a season. His legs proved differently. He's just not capable of doing it. I'm pretty surprised Cleveland went out and made this move, but like I said, if it's not Amari Cooper, I'm not interested.
Yeah, do I really need to say this? No, bias aside, but yeah, no, I agree totally. QB play over there with Watson, I don't know. If you had Flacco, might be talking a little different here, but yeah, I'm not touching Jeudy or any of those brownies.
Baney, who's your second guy?
I'm going to go wide receiver as well, and it is Jordan Addison. Get this guy away from motor vehicles. Wide receiver 39, ADP 90, finished out wide receiver 23 last season. Had a really good rookie year, man. 900 yards, 10 touchdowns. But that's not why we're avoiding amidst all the off the field stuff. It looks like possibly this suspension might go into next season, but who's to say this dude doesn't end up back in this situation again before the season's even over, to be honest with you. 2 times in a year and a half, that's a trend. Got teammates dying in car accidents, and it still doesn't matter. I hate to be that guy. I hate to bring like ethics into fantasy football because it's not that serious. But if I'm putting draft equity in somebody, I want to know he's going to be there week in, week out. Injuries you can't project, but I mean, you got a bunch of off the field stuff like this, setting yourself up for failure if you're going to draft somebody, knowing what we know. So.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, aside from the off the field issues, I mean, that offense, I don't know. I got some concerns with it, with the quarterback play. So I don't know what's going on over there. Addison last year, I was big on him. I took him in a bunch of leagues. This year, not so much. I mean, got Darnold and McCarthy. You know, I don't know what's going on over there in the quarterback room.
Last thing, wide receivers going right in his range this season. Deontay Johnson, who's going to be staring down a massive target share in this offense. It'll look ugly, but he's going to get a massive target share. Lad McConkey, again, somebody who could potentially see a massive target share. Your boy, Jaylen Warren, is going in this same range. And also Brock Purdy. If you're punting on quarterback, taking a late round quarterback, Brock Purdy's going a few clicks right behind Jordan Addison. So those are all 4 players I would happily have queued up over Jordan Addison this season.
Yeah, they didn't come out with a suspension yet, did they?
No.
So I think I was reading something today. I just want to make sure. They said the minimum might be 3 games. The maximum, like you said, can go into next year. So that's a wide range. I thought that was kind of awkward as well to put out there. So you don't know what you're going to get. So
No, I think Rice is another same situation that I think I'm starting to see him go all the way to round 6 now in mock drafts. So it sounds like people are feeling really confident he's not going to see a suspension this year either. But
all right, Badge.
So I'm going to stick in the same city, going to the running back position, though. I'm avoiding Aaron Jones. So he's coming up on 30 years of age. Questioning his durability, his span, I think he's all used up. He had some injuries last year. Now he's coming to a new team. There's a trend with that with running backs. I'm not loving that quarterback situation, as I just mentioned when Bainey went. I think they're going to be down points and just trying to feed Jefferson the ball, keep him going and happy and earning his pay. So, however, there's not a lot of competition except Ty Chandler. He had some double-digit reception games, I believe, or fantasy point games. So who knows? But I don't think there's a lot of competition. So that's the only upside there. Other running backs going after him that I like better. David Montgomery, yeah, he's sliding down boards. I still like him. I still like him as a fantasy value. He's going to get some opportunities still, I believe. Zamir White, he's going after him. A lot of upside. Like him a lot. Ramondre Stevenson, I still like him. He's going after him. And even my boy Najee going after him. So all those choices I like better than Aaron Jones with his age, quarterback, offense. That offense, I have a lot of concern with this season. So I don't know what's happening there. I'm avoiding Aaron Jones.
I've been on this wagon for, I think, the last few seasons. It just comes down to games played, man. That's simple as it is for me. Aaron Jones is like your tale of 2 tapes, man. He gives you what we saw the last, 4 weeks of the season last year. And then he also gives you 6 weeks where he's sitting on your IR. So take it as you may, but I agree with you. Fade.
Yeah, I don't have much pushback on this one. The only pushback, if you wanted to make a case for him, is like Badge said, the quarterback plays iffy, so they're gonna maybe pound the ball early, see what they can get out of him. But like Badge said, he is injury prone, so staying on the field's a must. But in that same note here, with my guy, I got a big name for you boys here. I got Mark Andrews as a player to avoid. Okay. Can we get off the bandwagon of his one great year and his draft capital not moving down ever since that 1 year, he's decreased in stats in almost every category the last 2 years. On top of that, can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field. And if he is on the field, his projection, his play is hit or miss. So that's where I'm at with Mark Andrews. I think we thought this guy was going to be head to head with Kelsey year in and year out. And there's a new sheriff in town, and it's Laporta. So I'm out on Mark Andrews.
As much as I'll piggyback off this slightly, I'm not so out on Mark Andrews, but I am so out on tight ends going at super early ADPs. Like, you can be in on Laporta. I'm not going to be in on Laporta at his current ADP. He's starting to slide down, but like these tight ends are going second, third round. Did we learn nothing after last season? Taking these tight ends super early, I mean, it's too much capital for me. That was one thing I did want to say with the Mark Andrews pick. These guys going in the first 3 rounds it's not a position I want to be targeting that early. And I do think that Mark Andrews is going to fall into that category. I think he's going to go late 3, early 4, and it's capital I'm not willing to spend. If he goes in the back half of 4, maybe 5, I'll have that conversation with you. But yeah, I partially agree with Teak.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to pay that premium. Hear me out. Last year, I got 2 words. I think this boy earned some time. Isaiah Likely. He turned it on and stepped up big. I think he earned some more playing time as well. I think Jackson is going to gravitate more towards him. I mean, so I think it's just too high of a premium for Mark Andrews. Not saying go on and get Isaiah Likely, but I'm just saying that the guy looked very athletic and made some big time plays stepping in. Looked like a receiver on juice.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's all about health with me. And if you're going to draft them, even like Beanie said, in those 3rd, 4th rounds, I think that's still too high for me just because last year, he missed 6, 7 games?
Leg fracture.
Yep.
So it's like, is it worth it? Why can't you pick someone up later who's going to be somewhat productive, at least it's going to be on the field for you? So that's why I'm out on Mark Andrews.
Got to be there.
And what's your last one, Beatty?
Sticking with kind of the big guns, I'll go with a running back that finished in the top 10 last year, Joe Mixon. He's the current RB15, ADP 42, finished with an RB7 and 1,400 total yards last season, 12 touchdowns. He finished towards the bottom of the league in efficiency, though. He just fell in the end zone a bunch of times and benefited from a wacky offense. I mean, once Joe Burrow was out of that offense, it's all over the place. On top of that, he's already had injuries in camp, man. He's already had a hammy. Now he's got a groin. They brought in Cam Akers. Everybody's praising what they're seeing out of Dameon Pierce. I'm sure Joe Mixon's going to start the season as the RB1. I'm sure he's going to get his touches. I'm not in on it. I'm partially just not a Joe Mixon guy. I understand the value he had last year, but I don't think it's going to repeat. Like I said, the inefficiencies, he was ranked at like 38th in inefficiency last season. I don't know. I think that trend is what's going to follow him to Houston, and I think obviously we're already seeing the injury stuff. So I'm out on Joe. I like other guys at that position.
So a little bit of disagree. Love you, Baney. I feel like the past few years, everyone's been writing Joe Mixon off. I see him a lot because he was in the division. I just feel he always produces. And I think that with these weapons, I think he's going to be able to produce again. And if he slides back down to me, I'm going to grab him. I'm not afraid of him. So I like him in this offense. I think he's going to possibly see some career highs out of him.
It's tough. I don't know. I'm leaning more towards of not liking him than anything. Just around that, looking at the running backs, I know you guys are talking about injury prone and stuff, but even James Conner, man, he puts up the numbers year in and year out. Yeah, he misses a couple games here and there, but
4.
He's good for 13 solid
4.
weeks.
so still, your boy Ramondre's is sitting there as well. I'd rather take one of those two than Joe Mixon.
I think he's in an interesting spot here in Houston. That offense is just so much power and receivers. I think that it's going to open up that run game.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Well, I'm kind of excited to watch this team. Not going to lie. I think a lot of people are.
No, for sure.
And your last one here, Badge?
So I'm going to stick with the same position. We touched on this guy a little bit last week. I know Bainey and I are on opposite ends of this one. I'm going Tony Pollard. I just think Spears is just a better back. And you can get him 8 running backs later. So Pollard last year reached 100 yards one time in a top-tier offense. One time. Yeah, he had some receptions, but he didn't do a lot with it yardage-wise. Early on, Pollard may get the opportunities, but I think as the season goes on, Spears is going to slowly creep on in there. Like I said, you can get him 8 or 9 running backs later than Pollard. I just feel Spears has a lot more upside and better value. So I'm going to be avoiding Pollard this year. So especially if you want Spears, if you're using that 0 running back strategy, especially how late you can get him. A lot of upside there, I feel.
I don't know. TK, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go?
I just feel like Tennessee is the island of misfit toys. No matter what position it is, it seems like good players go there and their careers are gone. Besides, obviously, Derrick Henry was the only exception where he started his career there. But looking the past of all the guys, it's how it's been. And unfortunately, I like Tony Pollard, but he might fade out as well.
Only 100 yards once last year. He missed one game.
Here's the thing. He ran for 1,000 yards again. And he had almost the exact same amount of rushing yards as the year that everybody loved him. Obviously, the efficiency was down last season. But he's coming off of a broken leg. He broke his tibia right before the playoffs last year, or his fibia, whichever one. And he admittedly said he wasn't healthy until about week 11 last season. He didn't feel good until about week 11. So take that with a grain of salt. I mean, he was still there. He played every single week. So, I mean, he's still responsible for the product he put on the field. But I do think that it's going to look much different. And I think it's going to be a Najee, Jalen backfield. It's going to be an almost 50-50 split. Titans love him. They wanted Pollard. They got Pollard. He's like a hometown boy. He grew up not too far down the road. But yeah, I am in on Pollard. I'm in on his ADP, and it's just going to be, like I said, you're either a Najee guy or you're a Warren guy. You're going to either be a Pollard guy or a Spears guy. It's just how these backfields are shaping up. Obviously the Lions backfield's a little different. Gibbs and Montgomery are just very solidified in their roles, different backs, but there's a lot of split backfields in the NFL now. You're just going to have to pick and choose what fence you want to lean on. I like Pollard. You like Spears. It's a very common conversation, honestly, in fantasy. I just think I think this will be a very true way to see if Pollard is back or if he's just simply a guy. So,
all right. And to wrap it all up here, I got another big name, fellas. I'm just
big name.
Maybe I took a whole different route than you guys, but this one's gonna hurt me putting this graphic up here. I got Justin Herbert. I'm avoiding this season. Yes, he just got hurt, foot 2 weeks, but not only that, we have no idea what this offense is going to look like. With a wide receiver core of Vlad McConkey, Joshua Palmer, and DJ Chark, a once must offense is turning into a must avoid offense in fantasy, in my eyes.
I just wonder if this foot thing's going to linger.
Yeah, that's very concerning. Plantar fasciitis. So say it feels like a knife constantly stabbing on the bottom of your foot, and it takes a long time. Long time. He's going to feel it during the season, so that is.
And it's a guy that we're constantly having this conversation on, the injury conversation. I feel like last year was the ribs towards the end of the season. I think he's had a shoulder at some point. But my biggest issue is not Herbert. It's how is this going to affect Ladd McConkey? Because I'm big in on Ladd, but if Herbert is not going to be 100% or not playing, this is going to have a ripple effect on that entire offense.
Yeah, I think Herbert's going to play. I think Herbert's going to play through it. I mean, it's tough. You guys remember with his ribs when he busted those? He stayed in the game, led the game-winning drive down the field. He's a tough dude. So that's the only thing that makes me. If he's there, I don't know. I mean, that foot injury is very concerning.
He missed 5 games last year too. So if you're counting on him as your QB1 in fantasy this year, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I'd count on QB1.
I will say he's going late enough that you could make him a QB2, but if you're depending on him to be your QB1, I think you've mismanaged your roster.
Absolutely. But that does wrap up the players to avoid. Any adding notes before Baney takes us off?
We can add. I almost put him on my list. Might get some hate for it. CJ Stroud, top 5 fantasy quarterback. Again, I just don't like where he's going. I mean, the passing yards are there, but no rushing upside.
Good news. Next week we are going to be replacing Mike. He will not be here.
I don't like him that high. Honestly, I'll take Kyler Murray.
Oh, I love Kyler in this.
That's a price you're paying for Stroud with rushing.
I think they're expecting them to score a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns. Do you guys have anybody in the first you're kind of avoiding?
Ooh, in the first round?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll give you one that's probably going to blow. I'm gonna give you one that's going to blow your mind. I'm not going to be drafting Saquon Barkley. I love Saquon. Yeah. I'm going to love watching him play, but just take Jalen Hurts in the third. You'll get all the touchdown upside. Eagles have finished in the bottom third the last few seasons. Well, since Hurts has been the quarterback and throw rate to running backs. Obviously Barkley's there. They're going to utilize him, but I think he's going to get sniped in the red zone for touchdowns. And I don't think he's going to have major receiving upside like he's been able to do for the Giants. He's no longer going to be required to be the entire offense. I've been seeing him get stacked first round.
I guess Barkley's on that cusp. They have him at pick 15, roughly. So he's on the edge there.
I saw him going a lot of first rounds, and
I've seen him at the 12. I've seen him at the 12 a lot.
Huh.
It depends what you're looking at too. Like if you're looking at sleeper rankings, they tend to be way different than other things. But
yeah, that's shocking.
George Pickens. I got a question.
Go get him.
I finally came around to George Pickens this year. This was the year I finally was like, you know what? It makes sense. Deontay's gone. Target share's there. My issue is always the volatility. Spike week, 3 straight weeks of 0 points. Spike week, back down again. I thought we were going to get a nice even season. If Ayuk goes there, whose value gets hurt worse? Ayuk or Pickens? You think so?
Absolutely. He's going to start throwing helmets again, and he'll be out of Pittsburgh.
I think it will help Pickens, as long as these quarterbacks can play. Because all you got to do is double Pickens. And, Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson.
I like Roman Wilson a lot, but
the guy needs the ball.
Rookie, I can't bank on him yet.
Steelers don't miss on rookie wide receivers, though.
That's true.
But I'm just thinking, man, Ayuk is going in the second round, tail end of the second round. Does he maintain that same value if he goes to Pittsburgh?
It just depends. I don't know with new OC in town. I think he might drop
Yeah.
the third.
I
I
forgot about that.
We're familiar with the OC.
mean,
I forgot about that.
they
So-
revamped their line. I think it's going to be a big running offense. Back to the olden days.
So we're switching to our pick to both of them will be hurt.
Could. Just
ADP
never, I don't
wise.
know about this. It can't
Going
get
from
worse
San
than last year, the
Francisco.
quarterback play. The quarterback
Go for
play made me want to rip my hair out. I mean, I got some grays, partially from work, partially from them last year.
Well, wait till you see the play calling.
Hopefully he's a better OC than head coach. From reports
Sleeper
are
pick.
saying he is.
Darnell Washington getting have 50 targets in this offense. Oh man.
All right, Baney.
Yeah. Episode 2 is a banger. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you didn't watch the deep dive episode, make sure you go check it out. Badge is wearing his snorkel gear. It's a nice little look, but make sure you stay tuned with us. Make sure you drop a follow, subscribe. It's completely free. Teek's got the Discord, I believe, in the bottom there, and you got to join that too. Badge is going to be dropping bets. Going to win you a ton of money.
Yeah.
62% last season, Badge.
Yeah,
Right?
I was up there. We killed it, especially the second half.
That
Lit
was-
it up.
That's how Teek was able to afford his golf membership this season. Dude's
Heck yeah.
cashing in on the Money Badger. So make sure you drop a subscription to the YouTube, follow the boys, and we'll be back next week, man. Appreciate everybody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Let 'Em Know Fantasy Football Podcast. Join our community and follow us on all socials or keep up with the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.